Welcome to New York. Welcome to the city where the sky is the limit. In today's program, I want to show you just how true this is. A good example to start with is Frenchman Philippe Starck and his two design hotels Paramount and Royalton. Located directly on New York's Broadway Avenue, they provide the ideal stage for many a grand entrance.
New York City, 44th Street. We enter a classic among the design hotels, the Royalton, a centre of sometimes startling innovation for guests tired of standard comfort. Bye-bye the TV cabinet and fitted wardrobes. The Oread furniture and Philippe Starck's own designs lend the hotel an almost model setting. Starck is convinced that he can breathe soul into things, the way he creates and presents his designs.
Le travail que l'on a fait sur les hôtels est beaucoup plus un travail d'information.
My designs are not intended simply to reflect quality of life in the form of a hotel. I also want to conjure up a picture of New York and communicate its crazy atmosphere. Naturally, the most important thing is that the guest feels happy. But just to build him a pied-à-terre or a temporary home has never been enough for me. The guest should be integrated into the new location and be able to identify with it. That's how I began to select the materials. I want to provide the people with more information, so when the floor in the Royalton is green, then it's meant to reflect the original glacier green base on which New York has grown up. And look around. The furniture is made of mahogany because it's meant to remind people of the ships that brought the first settlers to the USA. And the wavy serpentine lines which occasionally appear are intended to symbolize the reoccurring waves of immigrants. And one could also compare them to those ethnic minorities slithering miserably through the darkness of New York, always on the lookout for a way to escape and come out into the light. I want to provide my guests with information in my own individual way so that it helps them better understand the place where they're staying. Philippe Starck's second masterpiece on New York's Broadway Avenue is the Paramount, with hotel impresario Jan Schrager, who earned a name for himself during the 80s with his Disco Studio 54. Here again, the successful duo have created a hotel for a narcissistic audience. The 610-room Paramount is inexpensive despite its lavish design. From $150, you can experience a completely different side of New York. The highlight, the bathrooms and fittings. Anybody new to New York has the uncomfortable feeling that he's going to be crushed by the skyscrapers and the millions of people. But in fact, it's that makes the city so exciting. New York is a melting pot of people of every color, age, and social class. The poorest of the poor live in Harlem, and just a few houses away, there are the millionaires in their New York penthouses or mansions. "42-year-old Whitney Tower Vanderbilt and his cousin Carol belong to this select circle. Their ancestor, Cornelius Vanderbilt, made his money building the American Railway, a fortune which even his great-great-grandchildren can still live off very nicely. Both met Nathalie downtown in the School of Design that their grandmother made so famous.
You choose this place to do the interview. Why exactly this place?
I think that we're sort of the younger generation of a very well-known artist whose studio this was, and our parents' generation really have sort of let it go by them. They're not really that interested in art, and they're not really that interested in keeping up, I think, a family proudness, whatever the word would be. And I think that our generation has sort of taken an interest in what Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney did with her life, what she did for American artists, and what she did for New York City. And so we're sort of carrying the torch. You know, it's been a sort of a dimly lit torch for the past 20 years, and we're sort of relighting it.
And this place represents really what Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney stood for, and so many American artists got their start here, had their first shows, and I like being here because I'm an artist as well, and it's nice to be back in touch with this part of our heritage and to maybe have a little bit of input into what might come out of it in the future.
Your grandmother was a very famous sculptress. Actually, she was the one who...
It was our great-grandmother, first of all.
Great-grandmother.
Yeah.
Grandmother,
yeah. Yeah, she was. And she started the Whitney Museum of American Art in the early 30s here, and brought it up to Madison Avenue. She wasn't alive, obviously, when that building was built, but it's considered one of the top museums in the world for what it is. She felt that she did not have to go to Europe to see great art, that there were American artists here in America, and probably supported over 600 of them.
And right here in this building, and she did most of her sculptures right next door in the studio there.
So she was, I mean, she always had a scene going, whether it be here. She was, of course, her father was probably the richest man in America. She was brought up where Bergdorf Goodman is, the store now. And she was supposed to be, at dancing school and, and going to uptown sort of sewing parties or something, And she instead would come down here and have quite a life. She was wearing pants, in 1920, which was, everyone went, oh, you're not allowed to wear pants.
She was very brave and didn't, sort of made up her own rules, I think, in every way. She, just in the way she supported artists and it spoke up for American art, that was all, it was sort of very shocking to her society at that time.
The School of Design, which used to be Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney's studio, provides the arena for temporary exhibitions of works by modern artists, many of whom have a message intended to provoke or shock the visitor and attract international attention. What does Whitney Tower Vanderbilt think about art?
I like all kinds of art. I collect a lot of different kinds of art. I love old-fashioned things. It could be something so stupid that my 5-year-old son might draw, which I just love, or it could be a Picasso or any kind of painting. I don't really have a preference.
What do you think about pop art?
I love it. Andy Warhol was a dear friend of mine, and it's always just sort of brought the kid out in me. I always smile when I see it. I love it.
But there's also something about it that's so American and really represents an American attitude about art, and that's what I love about pop art, really.
To have the name Vanderbilt, I mean, it's like Rockefeller and all these very big names. Mm-hmm. Does it open the doors for you, or do you think it's difficult to have a name like this?
I think that it's a great advantage. I mean, it certainly is a great advantage. I never really realized it until my grandmother's chauffeur came up to me once, when I was about 10 and said, "Don't you realize who you are?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Whitney." And he said, No, I mean, you can do whatever you want. And I'd never really understood what he meant by that until today. Till I was about 13, and I, but I never took advantage of it. We were all brought up to work, and all brought up with an honor system and to be good to other people, which I think is very important. Well, I mean, I know most of those well-known names, and I think if you sort of sit down and compare notes, they had the same sort of backgrounds. I mean, I've talked with, Fords and Rockefellers and whatever, and they're all sort of relieved. It's like an AA meeting or something where you think, you're not in this. You're all in the same boat, and phew, you're not as sick as you really thought.
It's like a big family.
Or not as weird.
Right.
AA meeting means Alcoholics Anonymous, a topic that prompts Nathalie to ask more. One often hears rumours, and therefore she wants to know exactly what the situation is in terms of drug and alcohol consumption in Whitney's select circle of friends.
They're unhappy. What about your family?
Oh, they love drugs and alcohol. That's not,
We have our share of that too.
We've got a lot of that.
Oh, yes.
But I don't think any families escape that these days, And you just have to be honest with yourself. What do you like more?
Is there still a lot of glory left from the former times?
I think that a lot of people, for some reason, the Vanderbilt name or Whitney name conjures up a vision of this is a royal family in America, which I never have gotten that point. But I guess it's because of the houses that they built in Newport or in New York or whatever. And it's always, no matter what shape financially the family could be in that day, always the image is bigger than life.
What would you say is your personal definition of lifestyle?
I'll let you go first.
To be able to work at something you love is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So that's about what I have to do.
Lifestyle to me is day by day. I live my life day by day. I'm bringing up my 5-year-old son right now. So my lifestyle is to adapt to his level and to have fun without hurting anybody.
What do you like about New York?
Oh, God, I love New York. It's just exciting. It's like a shot of adrenaline to me. But then now I have to keep my distance. Now that I'm a father, which has become a big thing in my life, I've moved myself out to the country and come into New York at night very rarely. I think the party days for me are sort of over.
I heard some rumors that you had a discotheque somewhere.
Well, no, I've been to a few of them, though, in my life.
No, but your involvement with Xenon.
Is that true?
No, I did a lot of work with a lot of the different ones. Studio 54 and Xenon and whatever. Yeah, I did a lot of public relations for different people involved with the places. So, discotheques are, sort of discotheques.
Whitney's hell-raising days are well behind him now. And today, Mr. Tower Vanderbilt has managed to come to terms with his turbulent past and works as a successful PR agent, quite aware of the fact that his name is useful and has opened a number of doors that would otherwise have remained shut. There have been plenty of successful people in America who started off as dishwashers. Diane von Furstenberg's career is a case in point, from bankruptcy to the cover page of Newsweek. In America, the princess is regarded as New York's fashion queen, designing fashion for the woman who knows what she wants, women like herself. Her silk blouses and scarves with their floral and brightly coloured designs are trendsetters, and today she successfully sells over 30,000 of these creations in an hour via TV teleshopping.
America is the country where American dreams come from. So what makes it possible, I think, is because everything is so big in this country and there's a lot of space. But what makes it, possible, I think, is a lot of determination and a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck. And I don't know.
You have been everywhere in the world, as I know. What would you say makes it so fascinating to live in New York?
Well, if you have to live in a city, New York is very much, it's so much living your time. It has the good and the bad of our present period. In New York, every night you can see something so incredibly fascinating culturally. But it's also hard, and it's also sad, and it's also violent. I don't know that I could live in New York all the time.
But you were very young when you came here.
I was very young, and everything was new, the country was new, I was just married. Everything was an adventure, and I just went into it without thinking, without looking left, without looking right, and basically doing what I thought I wanted for myself. And I was part of the baby boom, and so I just threw myself into it, and I discovered the country as the country was discovering me. As I was selling my dresses, I would go all around, and everything every day was an adventure.
Although she had practically no experience with needle and thread, she used her imagination and the contacts provided by her husband, the couturier Prince Egon von Furstenberg, to start her high-flying career back in 1968. 3 million women wore her famous wraparound dresses.
Yes. What I did at first is I created very simple little dresses that I made in Italy. They didn't look like anything special. They were very simple, everyday dresses. But they were pretty feminine, sexy, not expensive, and they came at the right time.
Business was brilliant until the fashion market collapsed in 1977 and the princess was left sitting on dresses worth $4 million. Down but not out, she withdrew from the fashion industry for a while.
No, I'm just going to try to get... Melissa? What I like about my lifestyle is that I am very free. And that I have been able to invent a lifestyle for myself and have all aspects. I mean, I have a business life that's very intense and a life in New York that's intense. Then I have my life here, which is everything that I love because it's nature and children and dogs and books and peace and quietness and music. I need the country.
It's pouring with rain. Princess Diane whistles for the dogs and goes for a walk. She takes a deep breath of Connecticut's fresh country air, about 1.5 hours away from the hustle and bustle of New York. Diane, whose Belgian parents are untitled, married into the German aristocracy of Furstenberg. Her farmhouse is a jewel. Sketches, coloured pens, magazines, family photographs, and thousands of mementos from innumerable trips around the world. She was a 23-year-old beauty when Prince Egon married her. Shortly after her quick move up the social ladder, she skyrocketed equally fast up the career ladder to become a top designer of the 70s. However, the prince and princess soon split up, although, as Diane stresses, they have remained friends. Since then, the attractively self-assured designer has been enjoying the single life and living up to her creative reputation.
Maybe you tell me a little bit about your biography. I'm very interested to know about your development in your life.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was born in Belgium, and I wanted very much to get away from Belgium. I went to school in England and in Spain and in Switzerland. And in Switzerland, when I was at university, I met Egon, who became my husband. We came to America together. We had 2 children together, and I began to work. And so I became very, very quickly big, huge success. Everybody wore my dresses, from the young to the less young, to the fat, to the thin, to the rich, to the less rich. Everybody wore my dresses. And so at the age of 28, I was on the cover of Newsweek and Wall Street Journal, and so I lived a great American dream. And then from there, I went into cosmetic business and into the home business. And I became a very young tycoon. Then in the early 80s, I sold my company. And I thought that this whole consumer world was finished for me. I missed Europe. I went back to Paris. I started a publishing house. I was living with a writer. I always dreamed that I always had a fantasy of having a literary salon. So first I had a fantasy to be a very independent businesswoman, and I fulfilled that fantasy. Then I had the fantasy of having a publishing house and a literary salon, and I also fulfilled that fantasy. But then I guess I missed America, and I missed the action of the business. And more important than that, I had created a brand, my brand, that I was very proud of, and because it reflected what I believed in. It reflected a certain attitude for the modern woman, for the woman who, you know, and through the label I had established a dialogue with women, and that was very important to me. So I had lost that, so I felt bad about that. And as my children were growing up and becoming adults and having plans on their own and things on their own that they wanted to do, I said, I can't be the one who was famous when she was in her 20s, you know. So I decided about 2 years ago to take control of my brand again and rebuild it.
Now Diane is back at the top. In New York, she's regarded as the designer best able to understand what women want. Today, the 50-year-old spearheads a company which has annual sales of around $150 million, and not just for fashion wear. The tasteful and highly lucrative sidelines include shoes, perfumes, accessories, and original gift ideas. It was her fascination for beds and their stories that inspired her first book on VIPs' beds and bedrooms. Diane is constantly on the lookout for new creative activities. In addition to her bed book, she's just brought out another glossy coffee table book, this time about the most beautiful bathrooms in the world.
For me, luxury is space. It's a gain. It relates very much with freedom. And freedom is very important to me. And it's not so easy to handle because freedom also means responsibility and to be truly responsible for your own person. But it gives you wings.
You married very early to Prince Egon of Furstenberg. He's very well known in Germany. Would you say that the title, a noble title today, is very helpful in the life?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everybody, you know, it certainly wasn't well known here. But of course, when I was a 22-year-old princess in America, kind of pretty, I'm sure that it was part of the how can I say, of the aura. But that's not what made the dresses sell. I mean, what made people buy the dresses to such an extent is because they made sense.
Princess Diane von Furstenberg has made it. Since a successful comeback, Diane has become a regular guest on American chat shows where she talks about her experiences. The woman who's never really learned how to sew properly is once again the successful fashion queen of New York. True to the motto, if you make it there, you make it anywhere. New York is a city where you can do whatever you like, if you believe in it strongly enough.